And we're live. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Media's Live Show, episode 20. Today, we're going to talk about villains. What makes a great villain? What makes a great hero? Because you can't have one without the other. But first, there's a couple other things we got to talk about this week. So I'm going to give it a minute to get people settled in if they're going to jump in right away, and I'll tell you a little bit about the week I've had. Been very busy. I've actually finished the next episode of the Ruby podcast. I actually finished it yesterday. No, I finished it Sunday, but I'm gonna do a little bit more with the thumbnail this week. I still have to make that, and then live show today, and so it will be uploaded sometime tomorrow, and it's about 2 hours and 20 minutes. But it's the best character podcast for Ruby, so look forward to that. And then I'm also going to start editing the podcast after that. We're going to be revisiting the soundtracks. I've been re-listening to the Ruby soundtracks, been taking notes and doing rankings on them. And so you have that to look forward to as well. That's been the bulk of my week. I've also been that's actually going to be my first topic of discussion. Jurassic World Evolution 3 comes out next week. The live show is going to be a little different next week. I will be starting bright and early, probably around, I'm shooting for 9:30 a.m. start time, and I will be going pretty much all day. Seriously, I plan on playing Jurassic World Evolution 3 as soon as I can, and live streaming my first several hours of gameplay for it. And go on until my voice gives out, really. Or maybe a little after that. It kind of depends on how good the game is. Which I'm very excited for. They just recently announced the full species list. It's actually bigger than they originally reported. Got Suchomimus in the game, as well as apparently a variant of Deinonychus. I'm excited for that. The new terrain building tools look incredible, insane. Something else beginning with an in, I guess, in. So yeah, that's gonna be all day for the live show next week. Look forward to that. I'm very excited. This is my most anticipated game of the year. This is really the only game this year that I've been actively looking forward to. A lot of the other games that I would have maybe been looking forward to, I lost interest by the time they actually came out. Like Elden Ring, Night Rain. I was actually really looking forward to that, and then I actually saw some of the gameplay and how the multiplayer works, and I was like, no, never mind, skipping that. Marvel Rivals. I just don't like hero shooters. I don't like Overwatch or any game resembling Overwatch, so I skipped that. Ghost of Yotei or Yotoi, however you pronounce that. I really like Ghost of Tsushima. Ghost of Tsushima was my favorite game of 2019. But I am sick to death of the politicization of the video game industry, and I would rather not give money to people who want people like me dead, and would celebrate, my death if something were to happen to me. So yeah, skipping that. Jurassic World Evolution 3 is pretty much the only game left then. Oh, I do also plan on getting the new Doom game. I just heard not great things about it. And I just haven't gotten around to playing it. But that is one that I will be getting eventually. So then next on my little checklist to talk about is the new episode of May I Kindly Ask for One Final Thing. Such a mouthful. I hate light novel titles with a passion. Not a whole lot happened. We got some more, Julia Scarlet development. Found out that Julius has actually been pining for Scarlet for a for a very long time, and they're trying to infiltrate the slave auction stuff. It's a very like it actually kind of goes into what I was talking about. Was it no, because last week was Call of the Night. The week before, 2 weeks ago, when I talked about like the difference between being political and having politics. This is this definitely has politics, but it's also like magical fantasyland politics. And also like slavery is very much illegal, but they still openly talk about like the slave trade to people who are kind of famous for beating the snot out of nobles. Like the villains in this are very dumb. The slave owner guy is a very dumb person for like accepting Scarlett's story of her wanting slaves. Like it's very like, did he not hear about her smacking around everyone in the first episode? I yeah, I'm not really liking. Well, I do like the show. I'm not loving it though. It is funny. Julius is a very funny character. He is kind of saving it for me. And I like Scarlet. I like her just fine. Very very Weiss coded. I like her for a lot of the same reasons why I liked Weiss in Ruby Volume 4. Um, so that's all I have to say about that. I have quite a bit to say about the new One Piece chapter. One Piece chapter 1162. It brought a smile to my face to see Garland getting packed up the way he did. Blackbeard apparently inherited the off-screen hockey from Papa Roxy Zebek. No, I love Whitebeard, and I love how like everything is completely gone south in God Valley. There's no winning here anymore. Like it's just gone way out of hand. Uh, Zebek successfully saves his wife and kid for now, at least. Who knows what's gonna happen after this? Kaido jumped Big Mom and got the fruit from her. Then that I got something to say about that here in a bit regarding this chapter and some of the discourse surrounding it. But I love that Whitebeard is like ride or die. There was a lot of suspicions that Whitebeard directly betrayed Rocks for some reason, and that might be why Blackbeard like snuck him. But it just further proves my point that like Blackbeard is not driven by his trauma. He is driven by his dreams, as a true pirate should be. He's not caught up in petty things like revenge or retribution or justice. He just exists to do what it is that he wants to do. I've made this post a while back, and I even retweeted it recently, where like there's a lot of discourse around like, oh, because Rock's such a cool dude, and such a good guy. It turns out that he's such a good pirate, very similar to Luffy, and so there's a lot of discourse around like, oh, he would hate Blackbeard. Like him and Whitebeard were legitimately friends. They were like brothers. Whitebeard was the one of the last people to like stand by Rock's side when he was facing down the entire world. The entire world in this case being Emu himself pulling up to God Valley, or Emu herself. Who knows? We still don't actually know Emu's gender. I'm still actually hedging my bets that Emu's a girl because God of the Earth and Earth gods are typically feminine throughout mythology. But Whitebeard's like, there's no problem. Like, it's not about gaining anything or losing anything. It's about like just sticking by my friends. Like, I'm only here to say, I only came here to save Shaggy, and I'm only sticking around to to help you out, Rocks. Like, the Whitebeard's just such a good dude. And Kaido is, like, kind of cool here, too. Where he's just like, look, guys, I'm a dragon now. I finally got an ability. And I'm gonna fight side by side with you guys. Um, but there's discourse surrounding, like, how Rocks D. Zebek would hate Blackbeard. And I don't think he would. I don't think Zebek would actually know what to make of the things Blackbeard has been doing. And I've said this before, and I even retweeted it. He would look at Blackbeard the same way Luffy does. Because, like, as much as Blackbeard has done Luffy dirty, Luffy can't even really fault him. He's always silent, has this wide-eyed stare and this frown on his face every time he's interacting with Blackbeard. Because man, I live for the day that they actually interact now, because they haven't actually come face to face since Impel Down. Was the last time that they actually saw each other. Every other time it's been like near misses, or there's the bit in Dressrosa where they talked very briefly on the transponder snail. But that's the only interactions that they've actually had, post time skip. And so much has happened. We've learned so much about Luffy and about Blackbeard and about their fruits and about their upbringings and about their role in the world and how they parallel things that have happened in history. And I'm just really looking forward to that. But the thing I wanted to talk about was actually Katakuri. There's also discourse surrounding that, like, oh, Katakuri would be Yonko level if he got the fish for, like, no, he wouldn't. No, he wouldn't. Katakuri is really strong for sure. He is Big Mom's top commander, but that's kind of all he is. Nobody who would bow their head to Big Mom that easily could become Yonko level. Like, he just doesn't have the hockey. He doesn't have the hockey to be a top tier. And no Devil Fruit is going to change that. He can have the most powerful, most busted ass Devil Fruit possible, and he would still only be a top tier Yonko commander because he doesn't have the hockey. There's such a wide gap in strength. Like the Luffy who went 12 hours in a slugfest with Charlotte Katakuri, pushing Charlotte Katakuri to use his awakening and use his future sight and use every trick he had in the book. That Luffy got one shot by Kaido. One shot by base Kaido, not even using his Devil Fruit. Kaido sighed. That motherfucker sighed. Like, Luffy went Gear 4 Bound Man, the same form that leveled the playing field with Katakuri. The same form that, like, had nearly put Katakuri on his back. That form, Bound Man. And Kaido tanked hundreds of punches. Hundreds. Katakuri only took, like, I don't remember what the numbers were, but I know that someone, like, went panel by panel and actually counted up how many blows Katakuri actually took. It was something like 20. Like, Katakuri went down after, like, 20 punches from Luffy. Which is not a whole lot. Especially compared to, like, the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of blows that Luffy took in that same fight. Katakuri relied heavily on his Devil Fruit and his Future Sight to mimic the abilities of a Logia. Kaido ate every single one of Luffy's Kong Gatling punches, and then he sighed. He sighed with such disappointment and then smashed Luffy to pieces with a single Thunder Bagua. I'm sorry, like, no Devil Fruit is going to close that gap between Katakuri and Kaido. Like, yes, Kaido is very good with his fruit. He almost awakened. Like, another thing is that, like, Devil Fruit awakenings. Devil Fruit, as far as we've been told, and as far as, like, we've seen, and as far as, like, what Vegapunk has suggested, a Devil Fruit only awakens when your goal aligns with the fruits. which is why Kaku was able to awaken after having his devil fruit for just 2 years. Kaku legitimately loves giraffes. Like, he legitimately, like, giraffes were always his spirit animal. Like, that's something that was revealed in, like, an SBS way back in the day. And now it's become relevant because Kaku somehow awakened his devil fruit in record time. Uh, Whereas Luffy, he had the Gum Gum fruit, the Hito Hito no Mi Model Nika, for 10 years ish. About 11 years. I think he was 8 when he ate it, and he's 19 now. So, yeah, 11 years of constantly, like, pushing and training and experimenting with this devil fruit, and then he finally awakened. But he didn't awaken through, like, some training or technique. He awakened it because he finally understood what it was going to take Kaido down and save Wano, liberate Wano. Like, him actually legitimately wanting to liberate Wano. I talked about this 2 weeks ago when I talked about politics and Luffy, and how Luffy doesn't actually have any political opinions of his own. Luffy liberating countries happens as like a byproduct of what he actually wants. Like, he doesn't go to Fishman Island hoping to, like, save it from Horny Jones. He went to Fishman Island because he has to go through Fishman Island to get to the New World. He didn't go to Alabasta to, like, take down Crocodile and save Alabasta and bring water back to the people. He went to Alabasta because he wanted to beat snot out of Crocodile. He didn't go to Skypiea to fight God and El and liberate the Skypian people. No, he went to Sky Island because he thought it would be fun. Luffy went to Wano because people wanted him to go to Wano and help out with this fight with Kaido, and he knew that, like, if he wanted to become king of the pirates, he has to take out the four emperors eventually. But he didn't have any, like, deeper goals or motivations for going to Wano until he met Tama, and Tama gave him food, and then he decided, like, hey, like, Tama's such a nice person. She gave me the last of her food. I need to fight to bring food to the people. I need to create this world where Tama can eat her fill. It was very selfish. It was very much like, these people helped me. Momonosuke, Kinemon, the other scabbards, Tama, Hyogoro, they all helped Luffy, and Luffy wanted to pay back the favor. But that wasn't enough to push him over that edge. He needed a bit more of a holistic ideal. He needed to, like, really realize that he needed to be the one to bring Kaido down. It's not that he needed to help bring Kaido down. He needed to bring Kaido down. He needed to be the one. He needed to be the spark of hope, the sun god. Even though he has no idea, he has very little idea about the sun god. He knows a little bit more now than he did in Wano. He's told a couple things by the Giants and by Bonnie. But he still doesn't, he still thinks he has the Gum Gum fruit. But that same idea is why Kaido was never able to awaken his devil fruit. He got close. He was able to have more than just 3 forms. He had the purple form with the shark teeth as well, which is a pseudo, like, fate false awakening. But he was never able to fully awaken it because the Azure Dragon is a guardian deity. And Kaido didn't ever want to protect anything. If Kaido actually, like, was a good person and wanted to be a legitimately good ruler of Wano and be its guardian deity and actually, like, protect the people, he could have awakened. But he didn't, because his goals didn't align with the fruit. Katakuri is actually more likely to awaken the fruit than Kaido, because Katakuri is all about protecting his siblings. But deep down, Katakuri's heart, his motivation, his goals in life, the thing that he fights for, aligns with the Mochi Mochi fruit. The Mochi Mochi fruit is perfect for him. He is the perfect candidate for the Mochi Mochi fruit, which is why he was able to awaken it. Similar like Doflamingo and the string fruit. Like Doflamingo would not be nearly as effective of a fighter with any other devil fruit. He is perfect for the string fruit, and the string fruit would not be as effective with anybody other than someone like Doflamingo. That's what it means to awaken a devil fruit. Ashbarian said this chapter does raise the question: Teach could have just knocked out the guy on Whitebeard's crew instead of killing him for the Yami Yami no Mi. We don't really know the circle. We've only gotten glimpses of Teach versus Thatch, but the rule on Whitebeard's ship was that whoever found the devil fruit gets dibs on it. And so Blackbeard killing Teach was just him taking fate into his own hands. Because he knew that like this was the point of no return. Like this was the point where like whether he stole it or knocked it out or whatever, he was going to have to leave Blackbeard's or Blackbeard was going to have to leave Whitebeard's crew after that. And also he planned on, as soon as he found the fruit, he planned on leaving anyway. So it's like he never had any real loyalty to Whitebeard or his crew. He was going to become a rival regardless. So that was also him weakening Whitebeard's forces and making it easier to contend with him later on down the road. Because like we don't see anything from Thatch other than like what he looks like and like that he was that his division, the 4th division, were like in charge of food. It's kind of all we know about him. But he was a commander. Like he was a commander of Whitebeard's forces. He was on the same level as like Jozu and Vista and Ace and Izo and Marco. Like he was still on that tier of fighter. So, you know, it was a strategic thing as well. Because Blackbeard didn't plan on sticking around Whitebeard's crew after that. He never did. So there's that strategic angle that Blackbeard was going for too. Blackbeard's very sneaky. Blackbeard's very much like future-proofing plans and never fighting things unless he has something to gain. It's actually the thing he talked with Luffy about during his introduction to Jaya is like, hey, there's some fights not worth fighting. Sometimes you just gotta turn the cheek and just let it happen. Who cares? Like Bellamy wasn't worth fighting at that moment. Just like how with Blackbeard, like Shanks wasn't worth fighting in Marineford. Like Blackbeard had nothing to gain from fighting Shanks there. He had nothing to gain and everything to lose. He had nothing to gain and everything to lose from fighting Rayleigh. Like, oh, he takes down Rayleigh. Okay, then he just took down Rayleigh. Like, it doesn't actually impact the world or make Blackbeard's future plans any easier. I could talk about One Piece all day. I love the show so much. I love the series so much. Hey, remember when this was supposed to be like Loki's flashback about like Harold and stuff? Good times. We haven't caught up. Man, and Emu's been pulling up on Elbath for like 50 chapters now. We haven't had any kind of resolution to that. Uh, but a lot of this discussion does tie in with the thing that is in the title. But first, let's bridge that gap by talking about the new episode of My Hero Academia. Season 8, Episode 2 is gorgeous. It is the conclusion of All Might versus All for One. We now know the whole shebang with Hercules and every one of his abilities. The only one missing after last episode was Dynamite. Lord Explosion Dynamite. We now know that one of All Might's bracers had the ability to make a massive explosion. Also, Rip Stain. All for One killed Stain. All for One's such a fucking cheater. Got caught up in Stain's quirk and was like, I'm just gonna blast all the blood out of my body and then rewrite my own blood type to prevent Stain from doing it again and then kill him. Uh, and then Bakugo's back. Bakugo's gonna save All Might. Presumably, I know. I've read the manga. I know what's gonna happen. And next episode is going to cover my second favorite moment of the entire final war, which is Bakugo versus All for One, the final boss. Uh, Bakugo being like, "You have all these nifty abilities, but fuck you, I only need one quirk." But the highlight for this episode for me was actually. Now, a lot of people talk about like All Might's backstory, which is good. I kind of brought this up not on the live show because it happened in season 7. At the very end of season 7, the cliffhanger where we see like All Might's eyes turning white, like normal, like they were when he was younger. And I even made a Twitter post on Twitter being like, even though he's completely broken with all these broken ribs and bones and stuff, and he's on basically life support, All Might has never seemed so alive, and he seems even more alive in this episode. Both of his eyes now are white. They're white with the blue irises. He looks healthy. Like, he just looks better now, despite being a half-dead, shambling corpse of a man. It's great. Oh my, such a good character. But the real highlight for me was Shigaraki. This whole push against All for One is just trying to run down the clock, trying to stall him. Because he's rewinding, the more damage he takes, the faster he rewinds. And they're basically trying to, like, wait him out until he rewinds out of existence. And they're trying to do that before he reaches sludge warping distance. Well, he reached sludge warping distance. They failed. He was trying to pull Shigaraki back to him. And then Shigaraki spat it out and said, "Don't interfere." Ugh, I love it. Which brings me to the main topic I wanted to talk about. What makes a great villain? The dynamic between All for One and Shigaraki is a masterpiece. These two define villainy, and they are the highlight for me of the entire series. Because All for One is like the bigger bad. He's the older one. He's the more experienced one. He's the mentor. He's the All Might for the villains. He's got the quirk to like steal people's powers and redistribute them like some kind of superhero communist. Seizing the means of quirk production. And his goal is to become the Demon Lord, become like the ruler of the underworld, the most feared man in all the world, someone who uses hope. Like, All for One wants to keep a world of heroes. He wants people to keep fighting him. He wants people to keep getting stronger because he wants to breed these conflicts. He wants to breed all these conflicts between heroes and villains because that's how you get like really powerful quirks to develop and really powerful quirks to awaken and weak quirks to awaken into powerful quirks like Twice. Twice's ability was originally he could make like a copy or two of a single person, and when his quirk awakened, he could create the Sad Man's Death Parade. The most OP ability in the entire series. That's what All for One wants. He doesn't want to wipe out Hero Society. What would he do if he wiped out Hero Society? He wouldn't know. He wouldn't know what to do with himself. And he would get bored of all the quirks he's gained if there weren't new quirks coming along every generation. And that's why like he wants to like rule the world, but from the shadows, like he used to. He wants basically a return to form of that again. I mentioned this last year, talk about My Hero Academia's ending and talk about All for One, where like what makes All for One versus All Might in this final stretch so good is that All for One is clinging to the past. He wants to go back to the way things were before All Might. And All Might is looking towards the future. All Might is literally wearing the future all over his body, both in the literal sense in that it is a high-tech piece of hardware, a power suit, and also in the metaphorical sense of this as being a high-tech piece of hardware that also emulates the abilities of all his students. Whereas All for One is clinging to the past. He's literally returning to the way he was back then, quirks and all. He's regaining all these quirks that he's had in the past. And that's what makes that fight so, like, thematically interesting. Tamura Shigaraki is a worse villain. Like, he is worse for the world. Like, if the world had to choose between Shigaraki or All for One, they would choose All for One. They would rather live in subservience and in fear with the knowledge that, hey, maybe someday a quirk will develop that is as strong as One for All. Maybe someday another All Might will come in and usher in a new era of peace. Like, that's the hope. Like, that is the silver lining in the worst case scenario that is All for One winning. But if Tamura Shigaraki wins, there is no hope. Because Tamura Shigaraki wants nothing but the destruction of every single thing connected to his house. He wants to annihilate all of Japan. He wants to create a world where nobody remembers All Might. Where nobody remembers the hero society. He wants nothing short of the complete annihilation of hero society. And he'll also, preserve the things that his friends want him to preserve, because he's a good guy like that. The reason why All for One fails is because he did too good of a job at raising Shigaraki. He did too good of a job. Especially with making him like a leader. Shigaraki is a better boss to work for. All for One doesn't care about any of his subordinates. They're just quirks to him. He doesn't even care about his own name. That's why he goes by All for One. Everyone is just as useful as their quirk is. There's no extra utility to anybody working for him beyond what they can provide to him and his collection of quirks. Tamura Shigaraki has legitimate friends. He has Spinner. Tamura Shigaraki likes playing video games. Like, him and Spinner like playing video games together. Shigaraki legitimately digs Toga and Twice and Mr. Compress and Dobby. And Spinner most of all. Like, Spinner doesn't have a useful quirk. He's not super powerful or strong. It doesn't even necessarily align with Shigaraki's visions. Like, Spinner's motivation is that he just wants to be part of something bigger. Spinner was originally a stain sycophant, which is something that Shigaraki initially hated. He was much more aligned with people like Twice and Toga, who just wanted kind of like the chaos of everything. Or Mr. Compress, who just wanted to do things because it was fun. Not that that's really what Mr. Compress's goals were, but just kind of covering all the bases. But Shigaraki and Spinner ended up bonding over video games, which is why, like, at the end, he asked Deku, like, hey, if Spinner's still alive after all of this, let him know. I have the picture here. Tamura Shigaraki fought until the end to destroy. And he did. The world will never be the same because of the mass destruction that Shigaraki caused. There is no going back. There is no just going back to the way things were with All for One. There's no going back to the way things were when All Might was in his prime. It's a brand new world, a brand new day for the My Hero Academia world at the end of this war. And despite Shigaraki having the much more dark intentions, having the more violent tendencies and having the goal that is worse for the world at large, he's also sympathetic. All for One is just an asshole. He was an asshole from birth. He's just a massive dickhead. Shigaraki is tragic. He's sad. Like, he is broken. He is a victim of a society that had grown too complacent because of the heroes. You want to know what makes a great hero? Or what makes a great villain? We have to talk about what makes a great hero. And what makes a great hero is a goal, like an altruistic goal. Or not even necessarily an altruistic one. Just a goal in general. A goal that we can get behind. Sorry, I forgot what I called this hero goals. Okay. Let's look at Luffy again. Luffy is a very selfish person. He has a lot of respect for heroes. He says as much on Fishman Island, but he doesn't like go around saving people out of the kindness of his own heart. He likes food. He likes fighting. He likes freedom, and he likes to help people who give him food or freedom or fun adventures. Like, that's kind of just who he is. He's got like a very narrow-minded, like very selfish motivations overall. But he wants to become king of the pirates. He wants to be the most free person on the planet, and those are all goals that we can kind of get behind. One of the most ingenious things about One Piece's opening salvo, the first couple of chapters, is giving this kind of multi-tiered goal for Luffy. He has to set out to sea. He has to gather up a crew of at least 10 people. Then he has a crew that can surpass the red-haired pirates. Then he's going to beat up Shanks, find the One Piece, become king of the pirates, and then secret goal we don't know all the details of, but has been outright stated exists. And all of that was in the first chapter. And that is what created this hook and created this investment for us to continue watching and continue reading the story for 1,162 chapters. And counting, with no sign of stopping anytime soon. So if a hero is just like a goal we can get behind, and someone that can do like great things for, himself, for his friends, and for the world around him, what does make a villain? Why does the villain get in the way? Well, there's a couple different ways. But going back to... Sorry, bring back that image. A villain's motivations and goals should be what causes the conflict with the hero. Tamura Shigaraki wants to destroy the world that All Might created. Deku wants to be the next All Might. He wants to inherit that power and become a worthy successor of All Might and preserve everything that All Might fought for. Those two goals are inconsolable. Same thing with like All for One. Like All for One wants to revert the world back to what it was before All Might. He wants to undo all the good that All Might did. Deku doesn't. Deku wants to preserve all the good All Might did. That's why he is in conflict with these two assholes. And then all the other like sub-villains, they don't get as much interaction with Deku. Like Toga does, because Toga has a crush on Deku, but like she's more of a dark parallel for Uraraka. Spinner is a dark parallel for Shoji. Dabi is a dark parallel for Todoroki. Uh, and so those villains tend to have more interactions with those heroes. Uh, and so let's talk more about these sorts of motivations. We're talking about two of the most famous heroes ever, the world's finest, Superman and Batman. Superman and Batman provide like kind of the duality of heroes, particularly in that they are classically portrayed as the ultimate reactive hero and the ultimate proactive hero. Superman is reactive. Superman believes that the world is inherently good, that the status quo is a good thing, that the world is just fine the way it is, and that all these villains do is disrupt that status quo and disrupt the natural order of things and need to be dealt with accordingly as they pop up. Batman exists in a world corrupted. Gotham City is a nightmare. It is this almost eldritch supernatural entity in of itself. Batman has to work day in and day out to actively fight against that corruption and that darkness. Superman lives for his days off, or for his time off. He never gets a full day off, except for the time. No, he doesn't even get a full day off. Like, the day Superman gets off is the day that he has to hold up the planet for Atlas. It's kind of the whole premise of that story. Um, but Superman does get downtime, and he likes being Clark Kent. He likes being a reporter. He likes going on dates with Lois Lane. He likes helping Mom and Pa Kent around the farm. Like, that's what he lives for. That is the world that he is fighting for. A world where people can do good. He believes that people can do good, and that they just need help seeing what is good, and seeing what is good about the world, and seeing what it looks like when someone is doing good. Batman is a lot more paranoid. He's a lot more uh, anal about this stuff. Batman never gives himself genuine downtime. The only downtime he gives all serves the purpose of recovering so that he can keep fighting again. Like, he'll mentally and physically recover, but even then he's constantly thinking about the crusade. It's all about the crusade. 24/7 is about the crusade. Like, he only sleeps so that he can fight for longer times. He only eats so that he can keep up the energy to fight. He only goes out in public as Bruce Wayne in order to keep up the facade and keep people from finding out who he really is and hitting him where it hurts, which is usually his wallet, actually. Uh, like, everything Batman does is for the sake of his crusade, even his downtime. He is a proactive hero. And their villains kind of reflect that. Superman fights a lot of into the world, like alien invaders and robots who just kind of like come down and are assholes and need to be punched really, really hard. Whereas Batman villains tend to be psychopaths, people who have like these tragic backstories or are victims of Gotham City and are that's I guess where we'll get into the next spot, which is there's a couple different ways to make a villain. Uh, you can make them, and the first way I'm going to talk about is making them a dark parallel for the hero. Batman villains tend to be like this a lot. All of Batman's greatest villains reflect some aspect of Batman himself. The Joker is kind of the exception. He's kind of in the other group of villains. So I'll save him for later. But like Two-Face is all about duality. Mr. Freeze is a man of science. Bane is a character who is obsessed with his own crusade and doing whatever it takes to achieve that physical perfection. Oswald Cobblepot, aka Penguin, is rich. Ra's al Ghul has a very strong sense of justice. So does Prometheus, who most people probably don't know about because he hasn't shown up in any of the movies or anything. Uh, but he's basically like, what if Batman's parents were shot by cops and were also criminals? Uh, and obviously, there's a lot of other Batman villains because he's been around for a long time, and as a comic book character, you just kind of gotta throw whatever you think of at the wall and see what sticks. The Scarecrow uses fear. Riddler is a genius. Like, these are all aspects of Batman's character, and these are the characters, the Batman villains that have stood the test of time. Batman's got the most impressive rogues gallery in all of fiction, or maybe not all of fiction, but certainly all of superhero comic bookdom. Uh, certainly has a more impressive rogues gallery than say Superman. But there is one other way because having a dark parallel to the hero is good and all, but that is only ever as good as your hero. Uh, kind of piggybacking off of that point and bridging it to the next one. Let's look at the Akatsuki from Naruto. There are a lot of Naruto villains who are dark parallels of Naruto, particularly Gaara, Pain, and Obito. They are dark parallels to Naruto. Like, Gaara is what would have happened if Naruto didn't have any Iruka Sensei, or if Iruka Sensei did try to kill him. And Naruto never got the friends that were able to guide his way, and if he just let himself get consumed by the Nine-Tailed Fox. Pain slash Nagato is like what would have happened if Naruto forsook himself and realized, hey, the world isn't worth saving. We just have to put a band-aid on the wound through mutually assured destruction. Like, the ultimate tragedy is that Pain's plan wouldn't have worked at all because it's just another version of what Hashirama already did, and it didn't work. Like, Hashirama's plan of mutually assured destruction didn't work because all it did was put all the power in these handful of nations to the exploitation of all the smaller nations, like the Hidden Rain Village. Then Obito is what would have happened if Naruto completely gave into nihilism and completely gave into despair and decided, you know what, fuck this whole world. I'm gonna create my own dream world where everyone can just sing Kumbaya and be happily ever after. A world built completely on lies and illusions. But not every Akatsuki member is a parallel to Naruto. There are villains who are a symbol or an arbiter of the ails of the world. And Naruto himself is a hero who is a symbol of the ails of the world. Like, he was victimized and shunned and chastised for reasons beyond his control. But he had people that helped him guide his way. Like, Naruto actually has every reason to become a villain early on in the story, but he doesn't because he does get that help and does get that hope. And Iruka Sensei basically saves his soul, as does, to a lesser extent, Kakashi, Sasuke, Sakura, and the rest of the Konoha 11. But every member, and this is why the Akatsuki, I think, are the best villain team in all of anime, or at least as far as the shonen stories go, because they all have different motivations for joining the Akatsuki, and they all tie back into the war economy, the child soldier stuff. The Sasori lost his parents during the Great Ninja War, and he was so consumed by his loneliness that he started turning people into puppets. Kisame was a victim of the subterfuge, the lies of the shinobi world. He was a member of the Hidden Miss Black Ops division and was forced to kill a whole lot of his comrades in order to keep secrets safe, all for the sake of a Kage that was being puppeted by Madara / Obito. It was actually both. By the time Kisame knew it was Obito, but Madara had already been manipulating the Mizukage well before that. That's why he actually used that to manipulate Obito with the whole Rin situation. Pain and Conan and Nagato, they were victims of the Second Great Shinobi War. And then they fought in the Third Great Shinobi War and fought for peace and thought that they were making headway, but then it turned out that the world didn't want peace. Hanzo and Danzo didn't want peace. They just wanted power. And anybody who were wanting to negotiate peace that wasn't to their liking got executed. Hidan is a little different. Hidan and Kakuzu, they're a lot more selfish. Kakuzu is greed, and Hidan is all about like the ritualistic like devotion to Jashin. Uh, but even there, like Kakuzu is greedy. So why does he fight? Well, because killing people and perpetuating these conflicts is the best way to get paid in the Naruto world. Hidan is a religious zealot, and he murders people because that's what his religion tells him to do. Like it's all paralleling like real world conflicts without outright addressing it. Like the most on the nose it gets is the whole mutually assured destruction thing with the Biju bombs. Uh, so they are both. So the Naruto villains hit kind of like that perfect gamut of being like dark reflections of the heroes while also being uh, arbiters of what the heroes are fighting against. Naruto wants a world of peace. He wants a world where like rivalries can be entirely friendly. Uh, and every member of the Akatsuki, as well as Zabuza and Orochimaru, they stand in conflict with that ideal. Michael Kaufman said, I still miss the Akatsuki, not very many villain groups come close in manga. They just have that coolness factor. They are very cool. But like I said, like I think what really puts them over, say, the Espada or the Stern Ritter from Bleach, or like the Phantom Troop from Hunter x Hunter, or any of the pirate crews, any of the individual pirate crews in One Piece, is that every single member is a fully fleshed out character. You can't really say that about any of the pirate crews. Like you can say that about all the captains, all the rival captains in One Piece, or all the rival like big shots. Like you can say that about like Aka Inu and Emu and Doflamingo and Kaido and Big Mom and Buggy and Crocodile and Enel and Rob Lucci. Like you could say that, like they're all cool, interesting characters, but like, who the fuck gives a shit about Jabra? Like, who the fuck gives a shit about Charlotte Oven? Who gives a shit about Sasaki from the Beast Pirates? Do you guys even remember Sasaki? He got dogged on by Frankie, who hasn't actually had an upgrade since Fishman Island. Uh, like, there's a lot of characters in One Piece that are villains that kind of just exist to be fought by the Straw Hats and their allies. Uh, Same thing with like the Stern Ritter. Like there are interesting Stern Ritter in Bleach. Like I like Lily Barrow until he turned into a bird person that was just weird. Uh, I liked I really like Askin Naklavar. Uh, the death dealing. I liked who are the other Stern? I like Bombietta. I like Basby. I don't love any of them though, because they're all just subordinates of Yuhabaha, who is a great villain and great antagonist, but like the Stern Order don't get a whole lot of interaction. I think the Espada are actually a more interesting group because you have like bigger personalities that are all in conflict with each other, and Aizen has a just this winning personality, and Aizen was responsible for so many of the ails of the Bleach Society and so many things that happened with Ichigo and his backstory. Um, And the fact that, Aizen is the main villain for such a long time. Like, he's just the main villain for a lot longer time than Yuha. Uh, and the Espada get a lot more interaction. Like, you get, like, the rivalry between Grimjow and Ulquiorra. You get the interplay between, like, Stark and Baragon and Hollybell. You get, like, I can never remember how to pronounce his name. The fifth guy, the fifth Espada, the one Kenpachi fights. Nitora, Nitora. I know how it's spelled. It's like Notoira or something. Uh, like, you get a lot more interactions between the different Espada members, and probably because there's only 10 of them, whereas there's 26 fucking Sternritter. Like, there's so many Sternritter that some of them just had to get, like, killed off really quickly in order to keep the Thousand Year Blood War from becoming even more of a clusterfuck than it already was, or already ended up being. But, like, other than, like, Basby and Jugrim, and then the Bambi squad, none of the interactions between the Sternritter are really interesting. Which is one of the reasons why, like, I love Thousand Year Blood War in the anime. It's great, a perfect adaptation, better than the manga even. But, like, I can never put the Espada, I can never put the Sternritter above the Espada, and I can never put the Espada above the Akatsuki, because each individual member of the Akatsuki is just a better, more fleshed out character than anyone in the Espada or anyone in the Sternritter. And the Espada are also just better characters with better motivation, just better versions of what they are than what the Sternritter are. The Sternritter just, they don't have the autonomy. They don't have the that's the problem I have with the Sternritter. They don't have the autonomy. And I don't understand why any of them would actually fight alongside Yuhabaha. Like, I don't understand why anyone is there. It's similar to Salem and Ruby. Like, Salem is basically the embodiment of the Grim and the eternal evil, the eternal battle between good and evil. But, like, I don't know why anyone works for her. I don't get what Cinder is trying to accomplish. I don't understand why Hazel ever bowed to her. I don't even really get why Watts is working for her. But, like, I get why every member of the Akatsuki is part of the Akatsuki. I get why every member of the Espada are with the Espada. So they're all hollows. I almost called them Grim. They're all hollows. They have this very strength-based hierarchy. As soon as Aizen showed up and was, like, exponentially stronger than any other hollow or any hollow in existence, they all got in line. That's why they're so obsessed with their numbers and with their rankings. And why Grimjow completely kills Loppy first chance he gets. He is proud of being the sixth Espada and wants to climb higher. He doesn't want to get demoted. And Loppy is I'm not even sure if I'm pronouncing his name right. The guy who is very temporarily the sixth Espada when Grimshaw was demoted. Yeah, so villains are basically like the embodiment of the conflict of the story. You don't have to have a villain to have conflict, but a villain is what makes that conflict personal and personable. Tamura Shigaraki fought to destroy to the very end. He never got a face turn despite being sympathetic. And despite never getting a face turn, he still fought against All for One. He still helped pull that panel back up. He was the one who like helped put the final blow on All for One's consciousness as it was trying to like take over his body. Like, he still fought even after he was effectively dead. He still clawed his way through the vestiges and kept on fighting and fighting. Like, he never gave up, and that's what makes him kind of endearing, and that's what makes it where he continues to haunt Deku for, up through the epilogue. 8 years later, Deku is still having like visions of like Shigaraki watching him saying, "Better do your best, because if you don't do your best, there's just gonna be another Shigaraki coming." And we see that with the kid and the granny, and like some of the last chapters where like the kid had been abandoned and locked up in a basement and stuff, and then he was freed by all the chaos, and he's like aimless and directionless. He's like begging a hero to help him. He's in basically an identical situation that Shigaraki was as a kid, but then instead of the literal devil being of All for One, being the one to reach out of his hand, it's an old lady. It's in fact it's the same old lady who ignored Shigaraki earlier in the series. Like Horikoshi purposely made it the same exact old lady to show that like this person has learned their lesson, and by extension, all of society has learned their lesson. There will always be heroes. There will always be villains in a superhuman society. One of the more poignant bits of season 6 is the reintroduction of Muscular, because it kind of shows that where Deku is kind of like down like how he should approach Shigaraki in the All for One situation, because he saw the image of young Tenko Shimura covered in the hands crying for help, and so he wants to save Shigaraki's life, and he starts to think like, hey, maybe every villain is like that. Maybe every villain has this tragic backstory that they need to work through and have someone to help them and save them. And the Muscular's like, no, I just really like killing people. I just really like fighting. There's going to be, in a story in a world like My Hero Academia, there's always going to be villains like that. There's always going to be villains that you just have to put down. There's no reasoning with a guy like Muscular. There's no helping a guy like Muscular. There's no saving a guy like Muscular. You just have to beat his ass and put him in prison or put him in the dirt and make it to where he can never hurt anyone ever again. But people like Muscular can be dealt with in very short order in a superhero society. It only took Deku like 5 seconds to put him back down and put him back behind bars. The gentle criminal, during the whole prison break sequence, he was able to like keep anyone from escaping that specific prison by just like rubber banding the walls and turning the air elastic and just stacking bodies and trapping them. Like he was able to fight all that by himself because he had the advantage there of dealing with people who are fresh out of prison and didn't have time to kind of like rally. But within the world of My Hero Academia, there's not going to be a villain like Shigaraki again. At least not for a very long time. At least not in Japan. The world has learned its lesson, and the circumstances that created Shigaraki just aren't going to... the heroes are going to work a lot harder to keep that. That was a big thing with Uraraka. Uraraka with their court counseling. Inspired by Toga. In order to help people with strange quirks deal with the pressure of being different. Because that's what drove Toga mad, is that her quirk created this like personality, this thirst inside her that was unsettling and uncouth to the masses. Shigaraki destroyed that society. He succeeded. And Deku and Class 1A are the ones who have to rebuild society and try to learn the lessons and fix the mistakes of the past and prevent people like Dabi, Toga, and Shigaraki from causing more chaos and from having the motivation to fight again. And I think there's something really special about that. Like I've said several times now, I think My Hero Academia is the greatest superhero story ever written. At least the greatest superhero story that is this long. Like I said, like there's individual arcs from some other superhero comics, like Daredevil Born Again, Or I've always been partial to Captain America: Secret Empire, even though it is kind of propaganda, and I kind of can't look at it the same way now that I know more about Nixon. Uh, Winter Soldier, the Winter Soldier storyline from Captain America. Batman long. There's a dozen Batman stories that I would say are on par with, if not better than My Hero Academia overall, or any stretch of My Hero Academia overall, like a No Man's Land, Long Halloween. Uh, those are my two favorites. But as far as like 430 chapters and however many pages that equates to, there's nothing better overall. There's nothing better that has like a concise like beginning, middle, and end. Like the inherent problem with all the superhero comics in America is that they don't have an end. They are not allowed to end. They are not allowed to have the conclusion, and that's the tragic thing about like the world worth fighting for trope, especially with characters like Superman and Batman. Batman will never be allowed to save Gotham's soul. He will never be allowed to reform the Joker. Bringing it back to the Joker. The Joker is the embodiment of like the chaos, the insanity of Gotham City. He is a force of nature more than an actual character with motivations and goals and a backstory. He can't be reasoned with. But Batman kind of realizes this, and if he can save Joker, then he can save the world. But he can't. He'll never be allowed to. Because DC just can't afford it. They can't afford to just end Batman outright and give him the happy ending he deserves. They can't ever let the world of Superman stay saved. They have to keep bringing in new conflicts for Superman to punch. Spider-Man can't ever be allowed to have a break, like a genuine break, where he no longer has to be Spider-Man. He has to, even if they do like an arc or something like that, it'll only be an arc. Then before they bring that back the status quo, you gotta constantly bring back the status quo. My Hero Academia was actually allowed to have an ending, which means that it's kind of inherently better than any of those comic book runs in Marvel or DC or even other things like Image or whatnot. Like just the fact that it has an ending and the heroes were able to succeed in creating this like better tomorrow that Superman is always talking about just makes the story inherently better than any Superman run or any Superman era. That's kind of all I have to say about that. My voice has started to give out now, so I'm going to wrap it up here. Thank you all for joining me. This has been another great live show. Certainly better than last week's, where I had no idea what I was really doing and did not have nearly as much thoughts on Call of the Night as I thought I did. But yeah, next week we're gonna be going even longer. I'm serious, man. Jurassic World Evolution 3 coming out next week. I'm looking forward to streaming like 6 hours straight on that. It's gonna be a blast. Join me next time for that.